What's up, guys? This is Jared with Hunt Nashville. Hope you are doing well today, tonight, this morning, whatever time of the day you're listening to this at. We have got a good one for you this week. I had a chance to sit down with Mr. Jason Heathcoe not long ago. If you don't know who Jason is, he is a outdoor media producer, videographer, photographer, just all-around BA when it comes to anything you do with a video camera and shooting hunts in the outdoors. I first kind of became a fan of his just by on social media and stuff, looking at his posts and watching the stuff he had shot. He started off working for Bone Collector, shot a bunch of their shows, ended up becoming the main producer over there. Left, started doing some, shot a hardcore hunt, the hardcore series, and then now he is at Small Town Hunting with the Cody Kelly, Keith Burgess, all those guys. Really, really cool stuff there as well. So really excited for you guys to listen. We talk a lot of turkey hunting because that is Jason's. Me and him get along well because that's one of his main passions as well as mine. And then we just talk a lot about the hunting industry in general, getting kids into it, some more hunter recruitment stuff, all kinds of good stuff. If you like this podcast and you want to hear more like it, make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening to. Also, if you want to get in touch with us or kind of keep up with what we're doing, you can follow us on Instagram, Hunt Nashville, on Facebook, Hunt Nashville, on YouTube. I think it's Hunt Nashville on YouTube as well. And then also just huntnashville.com. We'd love to see you. Stop by, say hi, check out what we're doing. We love kind of meeting folks that way and interacting with people all around the country and the world who kind of share the same interests we do. So I'm not going to ramble on because Jason and I went for quite a long time on this one. So without further ado, here we go. I'll hear it. We should be all right. We can start whenever.
Yeah.
Jason, thanks for coming.
Shoot, dude. I can't, I've been excited about this, man. When you shot me that message or whatever, I was like, man, anytime I can get to go talk about turkey hunting
I know, right?
with anybody, it's like, I was like, man, I don't know how much time he's got, but
If it's talking about turkey hunting, I need to talk because I didn't kill any. So at least I can talk about good stories.
Yeah.
It's, well, I'll be, in total fairness, I didn't tell you this before. We just, obviously, for those listening, we just met. I've been following you on, like, social media and stuff for several years now.
Wow.
And first, I think you were still at Bone Collector when I started following through. And I don't know why. I think I just seen some of the stuff you had shot, and I was very impressed. And that just from a fan side of things, like, you know, we've got, like, there's some other shows like Heartland Bow Hunter and those kind of the guys that started the cinematic shots of in the hunting industry. But I don't know, there's something about somebody that can capture a hunt or a hunting experience and it actually be pretty, not look like it came off of a $200 DV camera. That's very enticing to me. Gotcha. So I appreciate you shooting that stuff.
Oh, shoot, man. That's awesome.
But so anyways, tell the folks who you are and what you do.
Oh, man. Well, my name's Jason Heathcoe. I'm originally from South Alabama. I live up around Nashville now.
Okay. Where in Alabama are you from?
Man, I'm from just north of Mobile in a little town called Satsuma.
Uh-huh. I'm from Lucedale, Mississippi. You know where
gosh.
that is?
Yeah, we're neighbors pretty much.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That's awesome. But yeah, anyways, went from there to took a job at Bone Collector and was there almost 6 years and then got married, and my wife, she's from Tennessee, so man, she just really wanted to get back to Tennessee. So anyway, opportunity presented itself to get her closer to her family up here, and so we took it about, I guess it's been about 2 years ago. Yeah. And it's been a fun ride so far.
And you got a little boy?
Yeah, I got a little boy named Easton. He was born in August, so he's ready for youth season next year.
I know, yeah. I took my boys out for the first time this year, not during youth season, but during regular season. I regret it.
Yeah.
I regret taking my youngest. I've got a 9-year-old girl, a 6-year-old boy, and a 4-year-old boy.
Oh, wow.
And I took them out weekend before last, so almost near the end of season. Went a private farm, we hunt a lot.
Yeah.
Got on some birds, but it was so foggy. They came within about 100 yards. You just couldn't see them in the field. So he gobbled, must have had a hen with him. He went the other way. So we got out of the blind, and I said, y'all want to go hunt more, or you want to get in the truck and leave? This is like 7:45, 7:30.
Yeah.
So we want to hunt more. Like, all right. At this point, it had been a trial to keep them quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, I down to iPads, ate every snack we brought,
Yeah.
you know, just like answering questions. They'd been out of the blind 4 times to
Oh,
pee.
gosh.
One of them peed in the corner of the blind, just, you know,
Awesome.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we walk up over the mountain, get on another bird. He starts gobbling across the pasture, and I sneak down the edge and say, all right, I'm going to go down here and see if I can see him. Y'all stay right here. It's 20 yards away.
Yeah.
I turn around when I get to the bottom of the hill after he's gobbled a couple more times, and I hear, ooh, Hendrix is peeing on my boots. And I turn around, and my youngest son is standing up, peeing on my middle son's
Perfect.
boots and screaming at the top of their lungs.
Nice.
And so we just packed up and left.
Yeah, it's just time at that point. I
You
think.
have that to look forward to.
Oh, dude, I can't wait, man. He seems to he's infatuated with animals.
That's awesome.
We've killed a couple deer, you know, and brought it home, and you know, pretty good minute turkeys here and there, and between here and his mama, and man, he runs his fingers through like through the feathers, and he just starts laughing. The one I killed last Friday, we put it down out in the yard, and of course I'm weird about turkeys. I want him to love it so much just because it's my thing. And,
Yeah.
And I put him down beside it, and he reached down and picked the spurs up. And he had a pretty good set of hooks on. He reached down and picked it up, and he just started grinning at me, dude. And I about just started crying right there in the front yard. I was like, man, it's August. This is since
starting.
before that.
I got my
dude.
hunting buddy here in a few years.
Oh, man. I
That's
can't
awesome.
wait.
So did you just start filming? What got you into filming hunts originally?
Man, so, you know, obviously grew up. My dad started hunting me when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
And so, you know, my grandparents had 60 acres about an hour north of our house. And man, I can't put my finger on when it started, but all I knew is that I wanted to go so dang bad, man. And my dad, he'd, you know, obviously he waited till I was about 6 years old, and I think he did it just because I was annoying the crap out of him.
Right.
And so, anyway, man, we started going, and man, I remember I would get so, like, fired up every morning, 6, 7, 8 years old, up until I was, I don't even know, 10 or 11. We'd get like 30 minutes from the house, and he'd have to pull over, dude, because I was puking. I was so excited.
Really?
That's serious.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, there was
That's
like this
awesome.
one church parking lot on the way, and every time, man, it would hit me. I'd just get so tore up, man, just love it. And anyways, never, like I say, it was just a little 60 acres, one
Right.
food plot on the whole place, just South Alabama, just nasty. And anyway, I hunted 6 years before I saw my first deer.
Wow.
First deer walked in the plot, I freaking mowed it down with my Mossberg 512 gauge,
yeah.
you know. And man, I just
Full of buckshot if you're hunting in South Alabama.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's freaking.
You don't get to do that here.
Knock the fire out
They
of
don't
him.
let you hunt with buckshot here, which is ridiculous.
Well, it's deadly. I mean, to be honest. But man, I don't know, man. And I just remember, you know, from there until I was 16 years old, I just remember like legitimately praying like every night, like, Lord, just please let me shoot a rack buck. Like that's
Right.
all I wanted in my whole life. I didn't want a truck for my six. I just wanted to shoot a rack buck. And I ended up shooting a real good one there for South Alabama.
Yeah.
It was a real nice 9-point. And dude, just been ate up with it.
That's awesome.
Anyway, so you know, grow up watching your Primos boys, Chris Ashley and Keith Burgess and Cody Kelly and all them, and then you know, when Road Trip started, I think I was about 12 or 13. So obviously, just fell in love with that show and that format. And when I was 15 years old, my church back in Mobile, we had a hunting show as an outreach tool.
Okay.
And
What church did you go to?
First Baptist North Mobile in Saraland, Alabama.
Oh,
so we had a hunting show called 180 Outdoors.
Okay.
And so anyway, just I guess just annoyed them enough to where I'm like, look, he's like, can I do anything? You know,
Yeah.
sweep the whatever. And anyway, they gave me a summer internship. Well, 15 years old. My mom, she actually worked at the church at school, so she drove me up there every day. And they're like, you know, just come work a couple days a week. You know, we'll pay you, you know, $5 an hour or something. You know, just
Right.
nothing. And man, I wanted to learn so much. And a guy named Eric Ingerman there, he's from South Florida. He was the producer and edited the show. And man, just I don't know. He's got the patience of I don't even know what man to teach me because I remember I walked in and I'm like, all right, man, I want to learn how to do this. You know, this is what I love. And he's like, cool, man. He's like, well, just you know, turn the computer on. You know, we'll get started there. And I remember I just stared at the computer for like 3 or 4 minutes. And he's like, man, something wrong? And I'm like, dude, I don't know how to turn the computer on. So there it started there. And then
That's awesome.
man, 2 weeks later, edited my first show, and it's just kind of
Did they do DVDs? Did they air it? How did
no.
it work as an outreach?
No, so what they did there was we were on a local channel,
Okay.
and then we were also at the time Sportsman Channel was just kind of just getting going.
Gotcha.
And so we were airing on that, and kind of how all that was outreach is at the end of every show we would give away either a bow or a rifle. Like every 4 to 5 weeks we'd give away something. Well, you'd have to call in to enter. Well, at the end of that, we'd get you information, and then we ask you a couple questions, and
Yeah.
we just lead into asking about their salvation and where they go to church, and it really was a pretty cool thing. It was awesome.
That's a great idea.
They learned a ton from them, and then I worked there until I graduated. Really until I graduated college, and got an internship with Bone Collector.
Okay.
And
Did you submit for that, or did you meet one of those guys somewhere? How'd you get hooked up with them?
Same thing. Just Steve Finch and Mark Womack were the producers at the time, and I just sent both of them Facebook messages and emails and DVDs and sizzle reels of everything I'd done, and just, I mean, I remember one time, I'd mailed out like 100-something DVDs to just anybody. I mean, Jim Shockey, Primos, Mossy Oak, Realtor, anybody I could think of, man. Just because I remember I had a teacher in high school. She's like, because I started traveling when I was 16, filming these hunts. So, I'd be in Kansas, second week in November, and she's like, "We got a test," and I'm like, can we hold off, or can I take it before?
Send it to me.
Yeah, and I remember her telling me, she's like, "You're just wasting your time." She's like, "You need to just focus on something that you can actually make a living doing." And I'm like, "Okay,
yeah,
well,
that's what I'm doing."
Yep, I'm like, "Well, this is what I want to do." So, so anyways, man, did a 3-month internship at Bone Collector, unpaid, that turned into 4 months.
Right.
And I remember I talked to Michael, and I was like, man, I had like $65 left in my bank account because I had to prepay for an apartment.
Right.
And I'm like, hey, man, my internship's over, and just didn't know, if there's going to be a job opportunity. I was like, because if not, I was like, it's fine. I've learned a ton. I said, I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Been blessed to do this, for a few months with you. I said, but I literally have just enough money to buy me lunch and gas money to get home. Mm-hmm. Like, that was it. He's like, we're not paying you yet? I'm like, well, no. He's like, well, dude, I thought Finch hired you like a month ago. And I'm like, well, crap, no. And so anyway,
they got their money's worth out of it.
Oh gosh, yeah. Good thing I spoke up. But they anyway, man, they ended up hiring me full time, and can't explain how blessed of a 6 years that was to be able to, not to mention just to be, some of the best guys out there, but just to travel. Like I say, being from South Alabama, dude, I killed a 120-inch deer, and this is no joke. The word got around so quick, I shot him at like 3 p.m. Mm-hmm. We ran dogs back home.
Yeah.
And
same here.
Dude, we got back to the little gas station there in Mount Vernon, and there was 100 trucks in the parking lot. Everybody wanted to take pictures of it.
That's awesome.
That's a true story. And so I, been able to go to Iowa and Kansas, I never dreamed
it's
that
like take your pick.
Oh, dude,
It's a totally different experience.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It sounds like I was like a lot like that when I was a kid too.
Yeah.
In South Mississippi.
Yeah.
It was, if you saw a deer, it was a good story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's running dogs. That's dudes with milk jugs full of rocks.
Yeah, shaking.
Walking through the woods and dogs running, and you're watching a logging road. If you saw a deer, you're like, oh man, it was a great hunt. I saw a doe run across the road.
Yeah, you're burning up the walkie-talkies and CBs talking about it.
Yeah. And the difference, even now as an adult, just here in Tennessee, you're just like, if I don't sit in the stand for an hour and a half and I don't see a few does, I'm like, that was a crappy hunt.
Yeah.
It's like just at least to see something.
Dude, it's it's a lot different up here. It's weird, like looking back, because even when I was living in Georgia, there, the hunting there was so much better than it was in South Alabama, even for deer and turkeys. I remember my first turkey season in Georgia, talking to my buddies back home, like, dude, y'all got to come up here. Like, y'all ain't gonna believe this junk. Like, there's just so many turkeys, man. They just act like turkeys.
Right.
And then, I thought that was good stuff. And then when I moved up here to Middle Tennessee, it was like, man, what? Like this? If this ain't heaven,
we've been spoiled here.
Holy cow! Well, that's with all the talk lately about the population numbers are decreased and stuff. With the wild turkeys and stuff, I'm like, well, crap! I'd have hated to see it in its heyday, because I'm about to.
It was. I mean, it's. Because we were discussing that a little bit before we came on. I did a podcast earlier this week I was telling Jason with the TWRA, and And I brought that up. And actually, they're supposed to get me. I'm supposed to be hooked up. I told there's 2 people I want to talk to just because I'm like, it's piqued my interest, especially since season is over. I know the numbers are down.
Yeah.
I think we kill like maybe 36,000 birds a year usually, and it's down like 8,000 birds this year. So there's something going on, and it's probably a mix of a lot of things.
Oh yeah, sure.
I want to talk to somebody about coyotes and population of trapping here. Somebody from the TW area. I have a really good friend I have a friend who's a game manager, property manager, and he does a lot of trapping. So I want to try to get him and the TWA biologist and myself in a room and just talk about that.
Yeah.
So I think that has a lot to do with it. I went turkey hunting 4 mornings this season, which is not much, but that's enough to get a general consensus on what the birds are doing.
Sure.
I saw coyotes 3 mornings. I shot one morning.
Yeah.
And all 4 mornings, the birds, they just didn't act like they normally do. They gobbled like crazy, and they'd come in, but it's not abnormal for a turkey, and you know this just as well as I do. It's not abnormal for a turkey to hang up at 80, 70, 60 yards and just strut and wait for you to come over the hill. But I had some situations where any other time I would have sat there and just shut up for 30 minutes, and they would have at least peeked their head over the hill to see what was going on.
Yep.
I could not get a bird to commit this year. I just couldn't get one to commit. It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Birds that were coming in, I hate this term, but on a string, and all of a sudden would just stop, gobble, not even walk back and forth. Not like they were hung up on a creek or a fence. Just stand in one place, gobble for a little bit, and then leave.
Just act weird.
And I wonder if it's just them having so much predator pressure that if they can't see a decoy or if they can't see a hen, they're not coming.
Well, that too, and something I noticed, you know, kind of like we had talked about, you know, the majority of what we hunt is public ground here, Middle Tennessee, and something I noticed, you know, place that I'm on over there, it's same thing. I didn't get to hunt a lot of mornings, you know, with my little boy and everything, but you know, the whole season in the state of Tennessee, and I probably got to hunt, I don't know, maybe 10 mornings is all, you know, which I say is all. I realize that is a lot. But,
but not for somebody where turkey hunting is your
Dude,
thing. And I'm a turkey hunter. Like,
Yeah.
I hunt deer, and we do a dove hunt every year.
Yeah.
But if I had to give it all up, I'd just hunt turkeys.
in a heartbeat, never look back.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm used to trying to go, you know, even if, you know, if I am fortunate enough to kill my turkeys early, you know, take somebody or just to go out there and just listen just because I love it. But anyway, so in those time frames where last year I was hearing, you know, some spots I could go and hear 10, other spots I could go and hear, you know, 3 to 4.
Yeah.
You know, usually I could go and hear 3 to 4 pretty much.
Find a bird.
Any of my spots there on the public, and I heard 3 turkeys gobble all season on the limb in Tennessee. Period.
That's crazy.
I hunted, got the chance to hunt a lease I have in Alabama with a good buddy of mine, and then a friend of mine got married right in the middle of turkey season, like a
What were they
doofus.
thinking?
Oh man, just it made me so mad. And then he asked me to be in the wedding. I'm like, golly, man. I was
Was
like,
the bachelor party a turkey hunt?
I actually killed a turkey
Oh, my
on his
gosh.
bachelor. Yeah, that's true story. But and then at his wedding, we there was some public ground like 30 minutes from there, and I just went and just dumb luck found one and freaking whacked him. It was crazy, but even then, I didn't hear a single turkey on the limb. Drove all the way to Oklahoma, hunted opening week, of course, and it was terrible weather, but still,
Right.
Oklahoma, you think it's going to be halfway decent.
Yeah.
No.
You're hunting Easterns or Rios?
No, we were Rios. Yeah, we were far
And they
west.
gobble like crazy.
Oh, supposed to.
Yeah.
In the magazine, they don't.
Usually.
They didn't read the magazine though this
Right.
year, but man, we hunted 3 days and we never hardly did anything. It was wild.
That's crazy.
But yeah, man, it was just weird. And like the places that we killed turkeys on the place on it this year, we didn't kill but 3 off of the place this year. But I killed 2, my wife killed 1, and but we literally killed them, and this is no exaggeration. We killed them all within 60 yards of each other.
Golly.
One pocket, and it was a place where last year, like it's on the back of a field. It's big hardwood draw. I wanted to hear one in there so bad because I'm like, man, this would be gorgeous to kill one.
Right.
Couldn't find one, man. And then it's complete opposite. This year, the places that I couldn't get on them last year, they were stacked, and my places last year that, you know, would see, I mean, before season that you could go and see 10 to 15 strutters pretty easily.
Right.
You know, February, when they're still bunched up, nothing.
What do you think it is? Like, we'll sequester it out into 2 separate things because I think it needs to be said, and especially if people don't hunt public land, that hunting public birds and hunting private birds it's just a different world.
Sure.
Except for opening weekend.
Sure.
Opening day, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But you get a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks into season, and it's
Well, they get beat up pretty hard.
a totally different experience. So the 4 mornings I hunted this year were all private.
Mm-hmm.
We killed a bird opening morning. I took a buddy of mine on his farm, and I could have shot I called him 5 jakes. I could have shot one, just decided not to.
Yeah.
Hindsight, I should have shot the jake,
Yeah.
but I just decided not to. I was like, this is his first bird, his first turkey hunt. I'll let him have,
Sure.
like, this is just it. But every other morning I went on private, we heard birds. One morning they gobbled from daylight till like 8 and didn't stop. We just couldn't get in front of one. I hunted public during like midday hunts probably 5 times. I did not strike a bird, and I probably walked one day. I probably walked a good 6 miles.
Yeah.
And could not get a bird
Couldn't
to gobble.
find one.
And even in midday when they're not going to gobble as much, later in the season after about 10, you can usually get one to strike because they don't have any hens left. They're just gone. They've either still breeding them and they're going to nest, or there's just no hens left at all. I didn't hear a single bird. What do you think the problem is this year, or what do you think the problems are this year in Tennessee?
I don't know, like on that public piece that I hunt, it's just hard to say. This we saw a lot of turkeys, as far as just walking down roads, catching them in fields and stuff like that. But part of me, like, I ain't no biologist. I'm just a redneck that likes to hunt them.
But you're in the woods with them too.
Yeah, and man, I've seen a ton of jakes this year, and they killed. Don't quote me on it, but I know they killed upwards of 22, 23 jakes on that particular piece of property.
Right.
And to where last year, I want to say they killed 8 all year.
Oh, wow.
So, and this is going back to hunting with Waddell, got to hunt a lot of places, and it seemed like the years that we had a lot of jakes, that the gobbling was off a little bit. And kind of like you were saying, they just kind of hang up and just look. Like, there's no reason that turkey shouldn't at least just come swing by and look.
Right.
But it's almost like, a lot of the hens that I seen had a gaggle of jakes, 3 or 4 jakes, and I actually killed one longbeard over there one afternoon. Actually, it was the day I drove back from Oklahoma. I was like, dude, I'm just gonna swing through there and look. Walked right back there. There was 3 jakes in the field, and anyway, started yelping. Well, the jakes got to gobbling. Well, next thing I know, the jakes are running out in the middle of the field, and I hear them. It's a longbeard out there, and they're fighting the longbeard. Well, show them my little thunder chicken, and they come on in there, and I shot him at like 4 steps, running wide at me. But man, it just seemed like there was a ton of jakes, and like I say, I didn't spend a whole lot of time really anywhere else because I had a good little pocket of turkeys to hunt. But I know in there, man, it was thick. But I know that just the number of jakes that were killed, there had to have been a good hatch of them.
I saw quite a few. I know I was hunting with a buddy of mine, Brett, this year, and we hunted his farm down south of town. It's a pretty big farm, and he's got birds that he's watched for 6 or 7 years, and they've been trying to get on. And just finally killed 2 of. They haven't been. There's these 3 birds, and they killed 2 of them this year. Finally, massive, like 28 pounds, 12-inch, like just old,
big butterballs,
just massive turkeys.
Yeah,
and but he said he shot a bird on a Friday, finally shot one of the big birds. He went out there Saturday morning just to hunt and listen, and he said, I think it was midday, he counted 17 male turkeys, had all congregated, and were all fighting on a fence row.
Holy cow.
All together. I had already, that quickly,
Fight Club.
That quickly we're reestablishing the pecking order.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and he said it was mostly jakes. There were a few times in there it was mostly jakes. They're all in there fighting. I went with him out there the next morning to hunt. We got up there. The turkeys weren't roosted anywhere he thought they were going to roost, but we kept walking, and finally, after daylight had cracked, they wouldn't gobble at anything. But when they started, it started on one end of the ridge and went all the way up, just gobble, 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 all the way up until the boss bird was roosted up here. I mean, gobbling for at least 30 minutes every 2. I mean, it was just constant. And you could tell a lot of them were jakes, just real short and high-pitched. That turkey gobbled all morning, flew down, hit the ground, and we heard him walk. He was actually within range, but we let him go because it wasn't going to be a very fun hunt, basically. We were laying in the middle of a field, and he would just walked over and I'd have shot him. Brett thought he deserved a little bit more killing than that, and I let him make that call, so we let him go. But he hit the ground and gobbled, walked from one side of the ridge to the other, going to the field. They're out. Not another turkey gobbled that morning. Like that. That's how quickly that they reestablished what was going on, and that turkey was now the boss, and none of those other turkeys would gobble once they got off the limb.
Yeah,
and I'd never seen anything like that before. And it goes to what you were talking about, how there's a lot of jakes this year. And I don't know, I really I want to talk to one of the wildlife biologists at TWRA to figure out what would cause that. Not as many longbeards. I mean, I wouldn't think it'd be more longbeards getting shot last year, because the jakes last year would have been, or if we just had a really good hatch this year.
Yeah.
And so now we've got all these jakes, and they're kind of flooding out the competition and chasing longbeards off. I don't know what they're doing.
I know one year we hunted Texas, and same thing, man. There was just jakes everywhere. And, Texas is, I guess, one of those. It was the only time I've ever got to hunt Texas, but it's just one of those states where, you expect to go and you expect to, knock beaks off and, not really have to try too hard. But, dude, we hunted like 3 or 4 days, and same thing. Just everywhere was overrun with jakes, and we did not strike a long-bearded turkey.
Really?
No, and like we'd see them out there, but they would be by themselves pecking, and if you yelped to them, dude, it was gone.
Really?
So, yeah, on a place that doesn't get pounded.
It's not like they're overcalled.
No,
call shy or
no,
anything.
it's just a private cattle ranch. But and we didn't. We actually didn't kill a single longbeard on that turkey.
It's so weird, and I know it ebbs and flows. I'm not. I'm not doomsday about the turkeys. I do know something was off this year. I don't know what it was.
Well, that and the weather. Off. I mean,
yeah.
And I got thinking, just the other night, just driving home, I was like, man, I don't know. It just seemed like, which last year we had a cool spring, I thought, but like I say, I'm from South Alabama, so I'm not used to cold weather. But man, I only killed one turkey this year that I didn't have on a hoodie and a big jacket over top, and that was last week.
Yeah.
And but then I got to thinking, just as I was editing a show that this past week that I shot in over kind of west of Dixon over there. It was a deer show, and we were hunting the first week of December, and just going through the footage, and I remember all the turkeys I videoed strutting. Like, I forgot about it, and I remember it was hot that week, 75, 80 degrees, and I don't know.
Strutting during deer season.
And I don't, some people say, well, when it gets warm like that, they get kicked into gear, and then other folks say, well, it's got to do with the, with the amount of daylight when they get kicked off, and I don't know. I don't know what the heck. All I know is that it was everybody you talk to, whether it's from, Kansas, Oklahoma to Georgia, it seems like everything was 2 weeks behind. Even the bloom out, all the foliage and stuff. And the only 2 places that I've really heard that, I got buddies that they just absolutely mashed them was South Florida, and then I made a run up to Kentucky. Yes, it's been about 3 weeks ago.
Apparently, there's some places in Kentucky they just hammered them.
Dude, I hunted with a buddy up there, and he's got a 120-acre farm that they're kind of like a hunting club together. And then he's got permission on another 110-acre tract, about an hour from. Anyway, so the first morning we hunted there, we know for a fact we heard 21 different turkeys gobbling on his 100-and-something acre place.
Lord.
And ended up killing one. I killed one pretty early, and then we ended up striking him up one at like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Just shot him at like 3 steps. It was wild. And then we went to the next place the next morning, and we quit counting at about 40.
Golly.
And that's, they're not all on that place.
But you can hear them.
Oh, man.
That many birds in that small of an area.
Oh, it was.
I mean,
nuts.
120 acres. This is a decent sized farm, but it's not. You could sit in the middle of 120 acres and hear the whole thing.
Yes, and it was one of those things where let's just get up in the middle. Of course, we didn't kill one off the limb. We didn't. I killed one at like 10 o'clock. Caught him in a field and showed him the thunder chicken, and that was his demise. But it was just weird. It's like almost like there was too many turkeys on that.
Really?
It was a much needed mid-season little getaway.
Little boost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then because I killed one Friday, I killed one Saturday, and then I came home Saturday afternoon and hunted with some buddies of mine down there in Shelbyville. They got an outfitter, Spur Mountain Outfitters, and they had a cancellation. They're like, dude, just come down here and just hang out with us and just hunt. And ended up catching one. He actually had 2 or 3 hens with him, and just weird, man. We just yelped at him a little bit, and he broke off from his hens and shot and killed him, and it was just like, what the heck?
Speaking of hunting stories, we'll get back into some other stuff in a second.
Yeah.
We talked about this briefly before, but go through the AEDC hunt that you were telling me about.
Oh, man. Well, like I was telling him earlier, I hunted AEDC WMA for the first time this year, and I only hunted it 2 times.
Which is a WMA kind of like mid-east Tennessee. It's about an hour and a half east of Nashville, basically.
Yeah, southeast of Nashville down there. It's like 30,000 acres, good chunk of property. same thing. Everything you hear online or you hear from people, oh man, it gets hammered, dude. You're gonna get killed over there, and you're like, oh come on, man. Because I've, since I've started,
So
especially when I'm
everybody
driving,
says about every public land.
dude. And I've been, went to some pretty cool places and hunted a lot of public ground out west, Colorado, New Mexico,
Yeah.
Arizona, and never, even in Georgia and Alabama, never had an incident to where even walked up on somebody or somebody walked up on me. I guess I've just been fortunate because you hear people, like say you read on forums and you think people just start shooting bushes. But so anyway, so I go over there and it was pretty crowded the first time I go over there. So didn't really have a chance to come back until last Friday. It was last Friday of the season. And I had found a place just driving over there. Strut marks all in the road. Last time I was there, I said, man, I'm just gonna go over there, and just try it. And there was, of course, I get there at 4:30. You have to sign in,
Right?
So there's myself and 2 other trucks signing in, and I get to talking to this one older guy. He's a super nice guy, and I was like, man, I said, where are you going? So he told me where he was going, and I was like, man, that's the same road I'm on, but the road is miles long.
Right.
And I was like, well, I said, dude, I'm just gonna follow you. I said, and if you get to if you're going to where I'm going, I said, I'll just turn around and back out because I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
There's 30,000 acres.
Common hunter courtesy on public land,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And so anyway, so he pulls off like not far down the road, and I'm like, oh, dude, I got this. So I'm trucking down the road. Well, anyway, 3 other trucks get behind me, and I'm like, well, this is going to be a drag race. I feel like I'm in Arkansas and ducks now. So
Get to the blind.
yeah, so 2 people veer off, over the course of the next mile or so, and then this one guy, he's right on me. We get 200 yards from where I'm going to park, and he just turns around and drives off. And I was like, well, I hate that, because I don't ever want to
Yeah.
mess nobody up or get on nobody's spot, but it's
You were
public.
there
And,
first.
yeah, because I already made my mind up. I said, if he parks beside me, I'm just going to say, dude, look, we'll just hunt together.
Yeah.
Like
I've done that before.
Yeah.
I've made guys I still keep in touch with
Heck
hunting
yeah,
on public land.
same here. And I'm like, man, because there ain't. I just love it. I love the game and love everything about it. But
Yeah.
anyway, so we turn around and get out and get to walking down the road before daylight. I'm out hooting a little bit, and crows get to go, and I hear a turkey gobble. I thought he was probably 300-400 yards away, just with the foliage. He sounded a lot further, but I'm thinking, well,
Right.
and I knew there was this little slough that ran through there, and I said, well, he's probably roosted on that water somewhere. But anyway, I just remember, walking down the road and get to these mud holes or whatever, and I'm looking. There's no fresh tire tracks whatsoever because I'm looking and I'm like, okay, there ain't nobody in here.
Right.
I'm good. Strut marks all in the road. I'm thinking, oh, this sucker. Because I almost thought about just sitting on that road, but
Right.
I have the patience of 0. So I'm like,
I'm a running gunner.
oh, dude,
Yeah.
I can't sit there
I
on
can't
one.
sit and deer hunt turkeys.
No.
Uh-uh.
So I get down in there on this turkey, and I'm out hooting the whole way. Just, oh, he's firing off. And when I sat down, I thought I was probably 40 yards from him. I could see him strutting in the tree and everything. And anyway,
So you got to him. He was still on roost.
Oh yeah.
He had not flown down yet.
No, he was still hanging tight. He was up there strutting, walking back and forth on the limb. It was cool. I wanted to take my phone out and video it, but
Yeah.
I'm
Afraid you're gonna spook him.
I'm like, man, it ain't worth it. So
It never is.
so then his hens get to popping off. They're yelping and stuff, and I was like, if they're gonna talk, I'm gonna talk a little bit too. So I started yelping and cutting, and he was cutting me off every time. Wouldn't ever answer his hens, and I said, well, maybe if the turkey, obviously he's probably gonna go with his hens, but I'm close enough to where if I can just pique enough interest, maybe he'll just swing out and try to pick me up,
Right.
and take me along with him for the ride. So anyway, stayed on him, watch him pitch out, and there's actually ended up being 2 longbeards.
Okay.
One of them was just chilling, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. So
He'd been beat up a little too much.
yeah, yeah, he was just a little watchdog. So anyway, so they're strutting up, coming up there to me, and it was weird, man. I just bought one of these, the Montana decoys. It's called a Fanatic. It's just a shredder decoy, for the whatever the reaping or whatever,
Right.
whatever you want to call it.
Fanning, right.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of good luck with it. As far as if a turkey's with a hen or something, show it to him.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's gonna do one of 2 things. You're either gonna shoot him at 5 yards, or he's just
run
going
the other way.
yeah, and I've had both that happen this year, and I had it unfolded sitting right there beside me, and I almost showed it to him because I was like, man, I really want to mash him up, like
Right.
I just, and
Could be your last bird of the year. I want it to be a good one.
yeah, I was like, dude, I just want to just kill him good, and but man, I didn't. Something just told me, just let it. He's working to a call,
Right.
And he's in range. He's 45, 50 yards, and I got the bead on his face, and I was just sitting there watching him, and I'm like, I get antsy, dude. I just like I was ready to pull the trigger on him, and I'm like, anyway, so he's strutting to me, and his little buddy's off to the side, and I'm yelping. The strutter, he's gobbling good, and I hear a limb pop behind me, and I just remember thinking, like when I heard the limb pop, I reached down and just popped my safety off because I thought
there's birds circling,
there's
coming in
gonna
quiet
be
or something.
Another bird. I said, or it's gonna be a coyote or something. But then I was like, no, I don't know why, but I just thought it was somebody. So I almost went on ahead and just killed him, but I was like, well, no, because he got behind a big oak, and I wanted to turn around and just to look, you know. Anyway, so turkey comes out, and they were going toward the screwed up field, and the strutter, he had already made it through my gap, and the one turkey was just stopped looking, so shot and did him, and man, I got it to him, and I was just so pumped because, like I say, with the little boy, I was like, man, I set a goal if I could just kill 2 this year. Yeah. I'm like, man, that'll be a good year for me. Not getting to hunt much, and that was my 4th one in Tennessee, and that was my 8th one total. So I was like, man, I almost just started crying. I was like, man, it's such a blessing, man. Yeah. Golly, I love it. Anyway, so I picked the turkey up. Look, he's ain't got like a 4-inch beard, just thick. Looks like somebody with scissors just cut it off. Really? I was like, that's what y'all do on public ground. I said, y'all ripping y'all's beards out, trying not to get killed. But anyway, he had a real good 1 3/8 spurs, just a really good turkey. And I picked him up by his throat, and I pulled my phone out. It was 5:49. Wow. I was like, dude, that's an
early hunt right there.
I'm literally gonna be home, back an hour drive home, and wake my wife and kid up.
Barely. Yep.
He ain't gonna be woke up yet. So and I'm walking back, and I'm talking to myself. I'm like, yes, man. I was like, yeah. And obviously I jumped on the bandwagon this year with everybody shooting those Apex TSS shells.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know why. Like I say, I'm weird. I know I am. But I just remember thinking, like, that's why I paid $10 for a shell, because every turkey I killed this year. Side note, every turkey I killed this year, not one flop out of none of them.
Really?
Nothing.
Just dead.
No, just death. And so to the point like where I've thought I've missed a couple. Because, other turkeys fly off. Yeah, and they walk down there, and the sucker's just laid over on. I'm like, holy cow. Anyway, so I just remember I'm just like shaking the turkey with his head in my hand. I'm just like, that's why I paid $10 for a shell. And I look up. I'm walking back to the tree I shot from to get my, pick my decoy up. And I just take a couple of pictures. Crap, I mean, it ain't even 6 o'clock yet. So
you got time.
I was just going to enjoy the morning, Yeah. And man, there's a guy standing at my tree. And I turned about as wide as that wall that we're sitting beside, and he was cool, man. He's a really good guy, a really nice guy, and he was just grinning there. He said, "Did you get him?" And I just remember I just picked it up and showed it to him because I couldn't hardly talk. I was like, yeah, I got him.
Trying to assess the situation.
I'm trying to figure out what the heck.
You're in the middle of the damn woods
because I've never had this happen. Right. And so, like I said, this is 5:50 in the morning, and so we talk, and I didn't walk off from him till 8:15 that morning. We just stopped and just talked, and he was a really good guy. I mean, wasn't nobody upset, but what had happened is somehow or another, the mud hole I looked at, I guess he drove around it or whatever. Right. So he was like 3/4 of a mile down the road from me. Well, he had built a little ground blind with some cedars and stuff a couple weeks ago, and anyways. He said he got there before daylight because he roosted the turkeys and all, and somehow or another, dude, when I walked down the edge of that slough that morning, walking into that turkey to get set up, I was like I said, I was out hooting the whole way and trying to be as quiet as you can, but you make some
walking
noise.
Through the woods, right?
Dude, I walked 20 yards from that dude, and neither of us ever seen each other.
Really?
I don't know if
he didn't hear you or anything.
I don't know if homie was asleep or what was going on, dude. But I mean, I was
That's
just like,
crazy,
what the world?
Man.
Anyway, he was set up 30. We counted. He was 32 steps behind my tree, and so we got to talking about it, and I was like, man, did you break a twig or something? He's like, yeah. He's like, I reached up and broke a twig, and he said, and I stuck my gun barrel out through my ground blind. He said, because I could hear the turkeys out there spitting and drumming. And I was like, I said, where
you were in between where the birds were and him?
Oh, his gun barrel was pointed at the tree that I was on, because I was like, what tree did you have it pointed on? He said, that one right there. He said, the one where your gun is leaned up against.
Did you pick a big tree to sit against at least?
Yeah, thankfully.
God,
man, it was just wild. And like looking back, obviously hindsight's always 20/20, but it's like, so that's why, the good Lord was like, nah, I probably wouldn't pick up
Don't
that
throw
full
this
strut
fan
decoy
up,
right
yeah.
now. Yeah, I probably wouldn't do
Probably
that.
be a bad idea.
And and the turkeys, instead of the turkeys just strutting straight into me, like they're supposed to do on TV,
Yeah.
they skirted me and went out. And
Right.
look, thank the Lord, because if they'd have kept coming, it was a straight lane.
He'd have gotten a shot.
Oh, that dude would have seen them
Right past you.
Because he told me that he was shooting a 10 gauge that he can shoot 70 yards.
Golly.
And that's what he said. He said, man, and he was a super good dude. And you could tell that he wasn't just some whack job that's out there.
Right. And he wasn't pissed because
No.
you stole his bird.
No, I mean, he was just as happy. I think he was happier than I was because it didn't ruin the moment for me, but it was just like, it just scared us both.
Yeah.
But that's why I told him, I said, dude, thank the Lord I didn't pick it up. And he's like, dude, I'm a safe hunter. He said, and I know that people are out here. He said, but I ain't so sure I wouldn't have shot it. He said, because right where you'd have picked it up was where the turkey was gobbling just past it. He said, and I said, well, you wouldn't have done nothing wrong.
No.
But
golly,
man, it was just a weird, eerie moment.
Well, that happens so infrequently. So that I've had 2 times. I was thinking while you were saying that. I've had 2 times. Once is a pretty short story. This is one's on private, but a similar situation.
Yeah.
I was hunting out at Cheatham WMA, and it was midday. It was like 10:30 in the morning. I'd gone to work for a little bit, dropped the kids off at school, and I'm like, I'm gonna go hunt for a couple hours. This is 2 or 3 years ago, and I went out, drove in, stopped, and got out, and crow called, and a turkey just hammered.
Yeah.
I mean, just like double gobbled right at me, and it was probably 300 yards away, and I was like. I knew this particular area.
Yep.
I've hunted Cheatham for 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
I know
where
a
he
particular
was.
section of that 21,000 acres really well. And I was like, he's on that ridge. I know right where he is. So I grabbed my vest out of the truck, and I'm like, throw shells in my gun. I take off running down this road. Well, right as I get out of the truck to go running down this road, I look down the road, and there's another guy parked maybe 150 yards down another access, and I see him getting out of his truck. So I knew there's no way he didn't hear that
Yeah, he
bird.
heard
It
him.
was loud.
Yeah.
And it was the middle of the day, mid-season. And so I take off humping it down this road like, well, at the very least I'll get behind this other side, and then we won't be hunting from the same side, the same bird. And I get hammering, just, blah, 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 I just, yep, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I get within maybe 80 yards, and I know he's right over this ridge. There's a flat spot where they strut. I sit up against a tree looking up the hill, and I can hear him drumming on the other side of the hill. He's blah, 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 getting closer. And I'm like, well, there's no way he's got a hen with him. He's coming in too hard and drumming.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he doesn't gobble anymore. And I'm thinking, he's coming. Like, here he is. He's about to poke his head over the ridge. Silent for like 3 or 4 minutes, which might as well be 3 years when you're turkey hunting. And the turkey stops gobbling that close. Because he can't be more than 40 yards away. Like, I'm just waiting for a red head to stick its head up, and I was going to shoot him.
Yeah.
And I hear, bah! Just on, no more than probably 50 yards from me, just up the ridge a little way. This guy had snuck up and around, and I couldn't say anything. He'd killed the turkey fair and square.
Yeah.
He had snuck up and around, almost kind of the same thing I was doing, but he didn't stop and call. He had just kept on
just slipped
sneaking. So
under
that
on
bird knew something was up and got a little squirrely, and then he snuck up a little further and got a shot. I went to go over the ridge to tell him, congratulations. I was being loud. I was snapping limbs and because you never know. Some guys might kill 2 if they get a chance and hide one in their
turkey get wounded and just get to shoot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and he was nowhere. I found where he shot the bird. So my only guess is, and it wasn't more than a few minutes later, my only guess is he grabbed that bird and ran because he was afraid of getting into some sort of confrontation.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't. He killed it. I hated it.
Oh, yeah.
And then when I was 16, I was deer hunting private land, and nobody else really ever hunted this. There was one guy's cousin's brother, hunted it once a year.
Yeah.
And it was opening weekend of muzzleloader. And I had walked in all the way back. It was about 150 acres out in East Tennessee, in Carthage, Gordonsville area. And I'd walked all the way up around the mountain, set up way before daylight. And it was like that muzzleloader season where, like in Tennessee, it's either rut's kicking off or it's about to kick off.
Yeah.
It's like that perfect time where
It's
you're like,
jamming.
you have to be standing in your stand the whole time. And I was bow hunting. And this little, probably 3-year-old 8-point comes trotting down the hill chasing a doe, and he's going to come right within range. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And so he gets 45, 50 yards out, and I'm like, I'm standing up, and I'm knocked up, ready to go. And I hear, blow! This guy had gotten in there even earlier than me, set up 40 yards up the hill from me in a deer stand, and shot this deer when it was almost in bow range. I watched the deer roll down the hill and fall right up under my stand.
Holy cow.
And so I get out of the I'm just like, well, the hunt's over. I get out of the tree, and I was like, how long have you been there?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I got here at daylight. He said, how long have you been there? I was like, I got here at daylight.
Oh,
Somehow
God.
I had gotten in my tree climber. There was a ladder stand up there. I had climbed in my tree climber, pulled my bow up, probably moved around in the stand, and he had no idea I was there. I had no idea he was there. And it was just like, it's amazing how that can happen. And I was just like, I helped him drag the deer out and get it over the fence back to his truck, because it was like,
well, it makes you wonder, like, how often does that happen? You know, like, how often are you working a turkey and the sucker just same thing, like you said, man, he must have got a hen or something. Well, it could have been.
Well, and hens are so
Billy
like,
Box
you know,
up.
you can hear a hen and they're like, oh, that's beautiful, and it could be a dude on a slate, or a mouth call, and then you hear sometimes like, oh, that's definitely a dude, and you look over the ridge and there's a hen walking the other way. It's like, so it is amazing. Sometimes you can get into a little bit of trouble. You're lucky that everything happened the way that it did.
Man, it was it was an eye opener for both of us. And that's what we were talking about. Like, wasn't nobody in the wrong. Like, we all, you know, and I seriously, I don't know if he was asleep or what, but I don't know. Like, say, you walk by 20 yards and it's just, I mean, and I apologized to him 100 times, because I was like, dude, I was like, man, I'm sorry. I was like, you had a blind built, you know. I said, I didn't even see the little blind that you had. He's like, dude, he's like, it happens, man. It's part of it. And I was like, well, I don't like bit. I was like, man, because I'd have, you know, like I said, if I'd have been walking in there and that guy would have whistled, I'd have been like, I'm going to back up 40 yards and I'm going to call for you.
I've had that happen before, not the calling for me part, but I've had it happen where I was set up, got in there like opening weekend on public real early. Guys come walking down the road with their headlamp on, you know, I'm set up 50 yards from the road. I just flash my light and they just walk and go the other way, you know?
Yeah.
No, it's, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was an experience. But he was a good dude. He owns a deer processing place in Manchester, so we hit it off pretty good.
There you go.
I'm going to take him a deer. I got one in my freezer from Illinois. I need to take him. So I'll let him mount my deer for me. I figure it's the least I could do. Man, it was just, it was wild. It was a story to tell my worry ward of a wife. So she was like, she was wanting to take our little boy that afternoon, because we got this little back carrier or whatever. And she loves turkey hunt too, and she only killed one this year. And she was like, she's like, well, you think we could go back out there and, you know, and maybe you could strap him on your back? And I'm like, I was like, I just don't know if
taking him out to public.
I was like, I don't know if we're gonna do that.
Yeah, it's my wife doesn't like when I hunt public. She's always like, text me, call me. Of course, there's never any cell signal. So text me, call me when you get there, especially if I'm hunting by myself, which public I usually am, because most of my friends don't want to hunt public. They want to go out to the private farm where they think it's guaranteed, and none of them killed birds there this year. But it's, she does the same thing. I've hunted in Tennessee. I've lived here for 18 years. So I've turkey hunted here and deer hunted here for 18 years. I've never seen a rattlesnake here before, ever. I've seen South Mississippi all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's normal. But I've never seen one here. And last Friday, I was out. That was going to be my last hunt, because Mother's Day weekend. I just knew I wasn't going to get to hunt again. And so I was out like noon, standing on the edge of this gravel road, and I heard something in the grass behind me. And I thought it was just stuff falling out of the trees, because there's those helicopters for falling out of the trees and landing in the. I was like, that must be what it is. And I'm like yelping, cold calling, glass in this field. And I turn around again and I see a snake going. I'm like, well, there's a snake crawling out. And then all of a sudden I see more snake and more snake and more snake. And it's about a 3-foot timber rattler. And I've never seen one here before. So I pull out my phone and turn around and start filming it. And the minute I turn around, he realizes I'm there. And he just like does a U-turn and goes right back into the thing. But that's and I got home and I thought, should I tell my wife that I saw this rattlesnake out there, because it's going to make her even worse next year. When now she knows. I mean, she knows there's copperheads and stuff out there, but so I told her, I was like, don't freak out. When I showed her the video, she's like, that thing's huge. I can't believe it. I was like, well, I knew it was there, and it's fine. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine.
Mine, she, golly, God love her. She does worry a lot. Just, and man, I was actually goose hunting. I'd found it was a bean field over there on that public ground, and it was cut, and the geese were using it pretty good. So it was right around Thanksgiving, you know, that first, I guess that first little split or whatever. And so I took my layout blind there and had some decoys on my back. Well, I get there and I'm like, crap. I was like, where's my phone? But I remembered where I got dressed that morning was in my office, and I left my phone right on my bookshelf. And I was like, well, it's gonna be a quick hunt, you know. I'm, you know, just gonna get in and get out. It'll be fine. Well, it wasn't fine, because it's the same thing. I always text her, you know. And so, man, I walked I walked out. You know, he didn't shoot nothing. He walked out, and there's 2 sheriff's office and a game warden at the gate that I'm parked at.
Oh no!
And I was like, and I just knew, I was like, she has a manhunt, a full-blown manhunt going on. So the sheriff jumps out of his car when he sees me. He says, "You Jason?"
Oh man!
And I don't know. That's just a bad feeling. A cop.
You don't want a cop to know
Collars
your
and
name
that. Yeah, and I was
unless
like,
he's a buddy.
I started laughing, and I was like, "It might be why." And he's like, "Well, your wife got us out here looking, and
Oh my gosh!"
And I was like, "Oh man," I was like, "Yeah, I forgot my phone." Well, it gets worse because they're like, "Okay, well, what's her phone number? You know, and we'll just call her, let her know that everything's okay." And I'm like,
"Oh no,
I don't even know her phone number. How
really?
bad is that?
That's pretty bad.
That's terrible, isn't it?"
Y'all been married for how long ago?
A couple years.
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
don't even know her phone number. And
You're
I was
not
like,
winning husband of the year this
no,
season.
no, heck no.
Or last season.
No, and so I got her to call her work, you know. And anyway, so they got in touch with her. That's what I told her. I was like, okay, I got to memorize your phone number. I was like,
oh my gosh.
But it scared her to death. She's like, I thought you were dead. I was like, you ain't going to get rid of me that easy, you know. God, it was wild.
And if I was, that's how I want to go out.
Yeah. So now we have at least give me 6 to 8 hours of being disappeared, you know. I was like, if something happens, somebody will tell you eventually,
yeah.
you know.
Well, that's so we have Kevin Weaver, my co-host of the show, and the guy that does Hunt Nashville with me.
Mm-hmm.
We have a system now where, like, I'll tell my wife, it's like, all right, I'm going hunting, and I'll send her a text. And then I drop a pin on my location. I email it to him. Because my wife's not going to know how to find where my truck is parked.
No.
But I'll be like, I'm hunting at Cheatham, and I'll drop a pin, and this is where my truck is. At least you know what area I'm in. Or I'm going out to the Henningsons, or I'm going, I'm going down Spring Hill, wherever it is.
Yeah.
And so, but I don't send it to her, because I've made that mistake before. And she's like, where is this at? I wouldn't even know how to find it. I'm like, well, I'll send my location to Kevin, and I tell you I'm going.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll be hunting.
Yeah.
And if you need to find me, call Kevin.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea. You know, like I said, I guess you don't ever think about stuff, but man, last Friday that was kind of weird. You know, I was like, man, if something would happen.
Right. Well, it's big on, you just never know. You have to be safe when you're out there. And you just don't know who you're going to run into.
Exactly.
I mean, you could run into one of the guys, and I think they're far and few between. Every demographic of people, whether you're a bird watcher or a hunter or a surfer, there's always a few bad apples in every bunch. But you don't know if you're going to run into one of those guys that has had a frustrating turkey season and just wants to get a bird, and he sees something flash. All of a sudden, it's the biggest gobbler he's ever seen, whether or not it is, and he just shoots.
Or I had this happen first year I lived here on Priest over there bow hunting deer season. Walked up on a very active meth lab.
Really?
Oh yeah, and the people, they wanted to know what I was doing.
They were there?
Oh yeah. And I'm like, well, I'm not.
Gosh.
I was like, look, do your thing, but I'm just trying to deer hunt, like don't shoot type thing. Yeah.
What did you do?
I freaking walked past and went hunting, but on the way out I make a big loop out. It was wild, man.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, that's a wild place over there. Well, it's right by Nashville, so you got
how
many
in
millions
the
of people,
city limits.
And it's same thing you said. There's different strokes, different folks, man. There's people use public ground for all sorts of things, legal and illegal.
Yeah,
So.
I'm surprised I've never found any weed plants.
Yeah,
that's the one thing. I walk some of those hollers, and I'm like, man, I just wouldn't be surprised
Yeah.
if I saw a nice little patch of marijuana
Yeah.
right out here in the middle of everything.
Uncle Joe's medicine out there.
And it's like, what do I do? Do I pick it? Do I call it in, or I leave it alone? I got 3 options.
Just walk fast.
Yeah, walk fast.
Walk fast past it.
Watch out for tripwires and trail cameras.
No joke.
Well, we're gonna make a big loop because we started talking about turkey hunting, which we both knew would happen. So you're at Bone Collector.
Yep.
And you interned and you got a job.
Mm-hmm.
What did you start doing when you first started working there?
So when I first started there, like I said, they had Steve Finch. He was their full-time producer. So I just helped him out, on the editing side of stuff and on the filming stuff. So hired on, I guess it was August. We hit the road in September and didn't come home till Christmas, pretty much.
Gone. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Bone Collector was a weird show because where most of your shows, your new episodes start airing in July, right? Well, Bone Collector, we had to do 13 starting in January.
Okay.
Well, the way the deadlines are, for your first show, your first episode that airs around January 1st, your first episode is due second week of December. Mm-hmm. And
you're still hunting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're in Texas then. So it's
so you're like editing on laptops and
you're editing on laptops and cars, yeah, and you're sleeping about 2 hours a day.
Golly.
And it's you do that for. I would usually always turn in my last show around March 1st because it would usually be a couple days before we went to Florida to start turkey season.
Start turkey hunting,
and then you turkey hunt, and then you got 7 more episodes.
How did the editing pipeline work down there? Was it just one guy edit an episode, or did y'all take care of different segments?
Yeah, so Finch, he was kind of the creative guru. He is the Spielberg of the hunting world. He created the Realtree Road Trips format and tons of other stuff, but so kind of his role for me there was just to assist him in editing. I think that first year, Bone Collector, we did 20 originals a year, 20 original episodes. Okay. And that first year I edited 17. He had about 3.
Right.
And well, then he decided the next summer that he was going to leave, take another position with another company. So he left, and then I got the lead producer role, and then it really got busy because it was a one-man show there for a while. We had a couple people come in and out. They'd stay for 6 to 8 months and just realized that it really was a grind.
It's grueling, yeah.
It's definitely a single man's game. Excuse me, a single man's game. Just as far as a 22 hour day. That's not uncommon.
Yeah.
At all. Especially
and
during
part of that day is pretty physically demanding if you're out filming hunts.
Oh, this is just during editing season.
Turkeys or
this is just editing. This is just sitting in a chair staring at a screen, burning your retinas out. But we had some. We had some really talented people come through there, and they'd stay for a little bit and either get homesick or just decided that they didn't want to look at a computer that long. And, they love the hunting aspect, but just a lot. But, yeah, so I was there about 6 years and had to make a move that, it was as far as decisions I've had to make, it was no doubt probably the toughest decision.
Yeah.
And besides, the conversation I had with my mom about her being diagnosed with cancer, it was the toughest conversation I've ever had because, I was, I don't even know how old I was then, 25, so for 10 years of my life, I had been working so hard, to get, to where I could work for something like that. And I was doing what I love, man. And it was in
that particular industry too. I mean, that's considered like a pinnacle job.
I guess so, man. And it was just so awesome to like I say, to work with those guys and to travel all the places and to get to be a part of some really cool stuff and projects we did. But like I say, man, just had to make a decision, for my family and my wife. She just really was homesick, and an opportunity came up here for Nashville and get her closer to her family. So we prayed about it and took it, and it's been a wild ride since we've been here. But it's been cool.
So I know a little bit, but what have you been working on in the outdoor production side since you came to town?
Bone Collector. So right now, kind of for when I was working at my other job there for about 8 months, I just totally just kind of backed off of it and just let the throttle off. And since then, the other position we split ways. And got back in there. So now I'm one of the executive producers of Small Town Hunting on Sportsman Channel. Kind of full circle. I never really, it's not that I didn't want to work for Realtree or Bone Collector, but I guess my dream job was always to work for Primos, to work with those guys. Because, I mean, them boys freaking slam some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
From elk season all the way, just year round. And I always wanted to work with them boys. Well, we had the chance to work together at Bone Collector. They left from Primos.
Right.
Started a show called Hunting Presented Hardcore. Well, then they kind of made some changes there. So then they decided to start their own show, Small Town Hunting. So, like I say, we're back together working again. Cody Kelly, one of the hosts, he's my best friend, and my wife gets ticked because she says I talk to him more than I talk to her. But
especially during turkey season.
Oh gosh, it's every day. So helping them out with that, editing half the shows, and then there's another guy named Clint Swak. He's out of Missouri. He's a super talented guy. I think he's the best editor in the outdoor industry.
Really?
Yeah, man, he's
awesome.
So talented. He helps with the graphics and stuff, and does the other half of the shows. And then
Small Town's kind of cool. I've seen a couple of clips of episodes. It seems like it's kind of a different take on a traditional hunting show where it's not just
Yeah, so there's
hook and bullet.
Yeah, there's no interviews on it, and kind of the route we wanted to take was, hunting's fun.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, the reason most of us do it is because it's fun. It's not, if you want to go work out and get ready for elk hunt and lift weights and do all that stuff, man, that's fine. Do you? If you think it helps you.
Yeah.
Go for it. But kind of the take on what we wanted to do was, man, it's just hunting is just dang fun to be with your buddies and to and you don't have to go to Colorado on an elk hunt to have fun. I mean,
right.
You're hunting camp with your buddies and your cousins and your family. That's kind of where, that's kind of where we started. You know, me and you, and then that's how most people start, I think. Yeah. But we just wanted to, just kind of bring it back and just simplify the show, man. Just do like a fly on the wall type show, and whether it's a Walmart won't sell you a hunting license because another guy named Cody Kelly's got a warrant out for his arrest, which has happened, and then just random stuff, just basically just film everything and just it's just fun, man.
Well, I think people appreciate. I think, and there are certain guys that in the outdoor, especially in the film industry, or the outdoor entertainment industry, I guess would be the best way to put it, have still held on to those values. But it seems to get, the more you're in that and the more opportunity you get to go shoot elk in one of the best places to hunt elk, and where you get to go Iowa and hunt these amazing farms where, it's not shooting fish in a barrel, but it simplifies shooting a 200-inch deer. I think there's people, those guys tend to get separated from who their real demographic is.
Definitely.
Which is people who don't get to do that thing.
Yep.
If they got to go to Kansas one year and deer hunt
in
their 80-year life, that would be the pinnacle of their hunting career.
Trip of a lifetime.
This is not something they get to do twice a year and then go back for turkeys.
Yeah.
It's just not something.
Or they don't leave Kansas to go to Iowa and then go to Indiana and then go to Missouri.
Yeah, they couldn't afford the licenses, much less to travel and get an outfitter and all that kind of stuff.
And that is one thing that I loved about Michael, is traveling with him and Nick and T-Bone. I mainly was with Michael and Nick, but they never forgot that. Like they truly appreciated it. And obviously Michael's killed a absolute. He has 150, 160-inch deer skull cap nailed to his trees by his tiki bar on the river. No joke. And that's part of me, and I'm like, dude, I was like, that sucker would be, center of.
Oh yeah.
But
it'd be a full body mount in my living room.
But it really is cool because to him, it's really not about the antlers. He genuinely loves a good hunt, being with good people, and a good arrow or a good bullet. Like that's what, the animals is definitely a trophy, but where he saw the trophy was in the experience and just being there. So that was pretty cool, that.
Yeah.
That.
Well, I think your values would have to shift at a certain point when you've killed that many animals, and you have been given the opportunity to do that, where you still want to find value in the experience. But if you've killed 1,575-inch deer, killing another 175-inch deer, just for the measurement of the antlers is not as big of a deal. But if you find value in the rest of the experience,
well, the small time guys the same way, man. Chris Ashley, he shot a 420-something-inch elk in Arizona a couple years ago, and then year before last down in New Mexico, he shoots a 220-inch bull and was just as freaking excited as he was in that, and I guess that's what's fun to me is like you say, there are some people out there that they just almost just take it too serious and but man, that's what I love working with people I've had a chance to work with is, man, everybody's just super chill about it, and at the end of the day, it's like I don't know, it's not like a big macho. I mean, if you kill a big deer, it's fun and it's awesome and it's a cool feeling. I guess I hadn't killed that many big ones. I watched a ton of them get
Never
whacked.
Killed one. Yeah. I shoot the spikes and the does too quick.
You got that right. I'm thinking of fried backstrap wrapped in bacon. But man, some people, they just get tore up and look what I did,
right.
and it's man, it's just not.
It turns into a lot of infighting within a community where we have enough people trying to squash what we do and we value in life. But there does need to be a bunch of fight. If you want to shoot a deer, I used to be like super anti-crossbow. Like I can't believe they'd let them, when they changed the law in Tennessee, I was like, I can't believe you should have to be handicapped or over the age of 60, like whatever it was. Then when I really got to thinking about it, I'm like, if this allows people to get into hunting more, what is it hurting? Like let's let's weigh out the pros and cons.
Yep.
Is it hurting the deer? Are more deer going to get wounded? Probably not. You're probably more accurate with a crossbow than you are a compound.
Sure.
Can you really shoot that much further? Yeah, but it's not like a rifle. You know, you might add
still
another.
duck that sucker.
It might add you another 20 or 30 yards onto your effective range.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's still not. It's not a muzzleloader.
Well, I'm producing a show. It's a web series this year. It's called The Rival, and it's got 4 guys: Bart Goins, Blair Goins, Doug Hampton, and Joe Schultz. They used to be with Dream Season at Jury.
Yeah.
And so they're doing this web-only series and specifically talking about the crossbow stuff. Doug had back surgery 2 weeks before deer season this year, and they obviously told him, you can't pick up anything 10 pounds,
Can't draw
pressure.
a 70-pound bow.
Basically told him, hey, bro, watch from the sidelines this year.
Wow.
Well, 2 weeks later after he had his surgery, he was crossbow hunting in Ohio, killed a 150-inch deer. Anyway, they slammed him.
Wow.
All season long. That's all he shot. Now, he did shoot one with two with a muzzleloader, but the rest of them was with a crossbow, and that's what we were talking about a couple weeks ago. We were shooting interviews. We were like, man, a lot of people they do have beef with the crossbow, and it is what it is. I killed my first deer with a crossbow this past year in Illinois.
Yeah.
It was, and I was hesitant on it. I wanted to shoot him with my bow, with my compound, but they were like, man, just shoot this.
Yeah.
It was for small town. They're like, dude, just shoot it, man. And we started hunting some places that were super tight, just real close shots, and it was not going to be a lot of time to.
Right.
I'm like, man, whatever, yeah, it'd be fun. Oh, and it was a dang blast.
That's awesome.
And like you said, man, without that, Doug wouldn't have been able to hunt this year.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been able to shoot, his couple of deer, and like you said, man, everything is kind of not turning against hunting, because it's not doom and gloom, but it's.
Right.
But there are people that are out there that want to see it gone, obviously, and it's like, man, as long as somebody ain't shooting it out of their truck window, I mean, if it's legal, just let them do it. And exactly like what you said. I mean, my little boy, 5, 6, 7 years from now, whenever he gets mature enough, and I think he's ready, you dang right, I'm gonna have him a crossbow, because I want him to hunt in September when when it's warm and when it's more conducive to a small child hunting, and not when it's
deer haven't been bumped
6
all
degrees
over the place.
out. Yeah, and you're not freezing to death.
Yeah.
So it's and the thing is if somebody does have a crossbow season like Tennessee, just because we're in Tennessee, if you don't like crossbow hunting, don't hunt it.
Right.
That's fine. You don't have to. It's not like just because there's a season, you don't have to hunt it, man. And don't squash somebody else's chance who maybe they didn't grow up hunting like we did, and that's just their way in.
And it's been big for, like you said, their way in. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been big on like just researching and looking at statistics about like hunter recruitment and hunter activity, and like it's big to reduce the cost of entry and reduce the headache of entry into hunting itself. Because I think at the end of the day, because we've had so much pushback from anti-hunters and from animal rights activists and that kind of thing, we've got to start, and we have started the conversation, but we've got to start amongst hunters, especially guys that have been doing it for a while. I mean, I'm 32. I'm not like an old seasoned veteran, but I've been hunting my entire life. I was brought up doing it. Most of my opinions on hunting are grounded in science and fact, and I've actually done my studying on it. So we've got to do everything we can do to try to make it easier for people to get in, not add in, well, if you're not a real man if you shoot a deer with a crossbow. I mean, one of my great friends started hunting with a crossbow, and that was my first inkling when he said, I bought a crossbow. I almost sent like, you're not hunting on my farm with that. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, well, what does it hurt? Does it change what I do? Is he going to shoot a deer out from under my stand because of it? And reducing the cost of entry and reducing the difficulty of getting into the sport is better for everyone when it comes down to it, because you want more people doing it.
Sure.
Because, we went, I think that in 2011 went from like 15.7 million people hunting to 2015 going down to like 3.8. It literally dropped about 2 million people within 5 years.
Yeah.
And there's supposed to be a study out this year. I'm actually waiting for it to come out to see what the hunter participation rate is. But that's a pretty significant drop over a 5-year period.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's, there's a lot of things that go into that. It's, technology. People aren't as into it. People are spending more time inside than they are outside.
Right.
The generation that really pushed hunting is dying off, and millennials and blah, 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 all the stuff. But at the end of the day, the more people that are hunting, the better it is for everyone.
Sure.
Which is kind of anti what you were raised to do. If you found ducks in a hole, you didn't tell anybody about the hole. You hunted the ducks there.
Selfishly, I'm like Tom Kelly. I don't know if you read any of his stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But I wish part of me, I wish everybody else would quit turkey hunting besides myself.
Oh, I know.
You know?
Yeah.
But then again, on the same side, it's like, man, you've got to, because if not, if it dies out, man, it's a, like you say, I mean, like we kind of talked about this earlier, is we're the ones that's supporting the conservation. You know, your guys out there that are cooking meth labs on your WMA, they don't have a license, and they're not paying like a per use or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's us funding it, and like you say, man, if we're not the ones that's passing it down, then it's not getting passed down.
People don't realize that. I mean, the reason that wildlife, we'll just take, you know, we talk about a lot about Tennessee, and I know there's people all over the country that listen to this podcast, but like just for Tennessee, for example, I mean, about 85 to 90% of the revenue that's put towards wildlife conservation from the state agency is from boating license sales, hunting licenses, and fishing licenses. That's where the money comes from. Very little comes from like Pittman Robertson, that kind of thing. Right. They get some money from it, but it's not a ton. And so the reason that there are so many turkeys and you get to see all these beautiful deer walking through your backyard in the middle of Brentwood, Tennessee, is because of the hunters that are paying money for licenses, not including the amount of conservation that the hunters are doing directly by managing the species on their own farms and making sure that the deer herd is thriving and doing well, and not shooting, you know, if they want a larger deer or want a healthy deer herd, not shooting them until they get 4, and, you know, not shooting jakes, which I don't have anything. I've killed my fair share of jakes.
Gosh,
but, you know, that's the reason that stuff is happening, and that stuff doesn't seem to be getting taught to, I guess, the next generation and our generation, because I have a ton of people my age that are not into hunting, and they're like, why do you hunt? I can't believe you kill an animal. I'm like, well, do you know this, and this, and the reason you saw those deer on the side of the road in that field is because of me buying a license every year and me actually taking care of that. It's like, we've got to do our part to educate people on that, because if not, it's just, they're going to read whatever the quick headline in Facebook, and that's rarely going to be hunters save deer species. You know, deer species on the brink of extinction in the early 1900s. Hunters bring them back.
Yeah, no, the only thing you ever see on Facebook get shared is a deer that got shot through the hindquarters with an arrow and sticking out, and it's like, golly, it's like, I don't know, but it's I think it just comes back to, you know, if you're a hunter and you buy your license and you do your thing and it's legal, then, man, it's almost just like, dude, just stay in your lane, just do your thing, and man, take you a kid if you got a little boy or a little girl.
That's
man,
huge. Man,
take them. If you don't, somebody around you's got a kid, and fortunately, you know, Tennessee does have youth seasons, you know, to take them, and that's a really cool thing that gets them in the outdoors, you know. Yeah.
Well, and I highly recommend doing a lifetime license in Tennessee.
Yep.
You can talk about $200 essentially for a lifetime of license. I spend $80 to $140 every year.
Easily. Yeah. We bought my brother-in-law. They had a kid. I don't know, right before we had ours, and we bought him one. Yeah. And we're gonna buy my son one, awesome. Obviously, just to. But yeah, man, it's just something that you just got to do, you know. And I don't know. I'm just as good, especially with turkeys, man. I'll shoot one out from underneath my wife if that sucker comes in. I guess I haven't made it to that next stage of conservation or as an outdoorsman to where, man, you know, like you talk to these people, like, man, I just as soon go for somebody and call one in for them, let them shoot it. Dude, I ain't there, and I'm real enough to say, heck no, I want to kill that sucker.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I want to kill that sucker, but there is something really cool about going with somebody who hasn't, you know, who hadn't killed one or hadn't killed a lot, and like I took my cousin's wife or my cousin's husband this year opening day with me on public ground, which he got a pretty cool hunt. We didn't hear one on a limb, obviously, and we strike one at 10 o'clock, and turkey just burns it up, comes right in, and he was at 30 yards, and I was like, dude, whenever you get a chance, burn him, you know. Right. And he's like, he's too far. And I'm like, I said, dude, he's not too far.
If you don't shoot him, I'm going to.
Turkey's full strut, just looking for it.
You can hear it.
You know? Oh, he's just doing the quarter strut, just looking up. He's like, he's too far. And I said, Daniel, if you don't shoot him in the next 5 seconds, I said, I'm going to show you how close he is. I said, because I'm going to walk over and pick him up by his throat. Anyway, so he shoots. And anyway, turkey, he misses a couple of times. And so turkey gets out of there. But he hadn't really turkey hunted too much. But, dude, he's he's freaking hooked now.
He's hooked now.
Yeah,
That's all it takes, man.
He's hooked. He's like, dude, he's like, I've never had one come up in there and drum.
It's
and,
a different
and strut.
experience,
oh,
man.
Gosh,
it's something that you can't describe to people unless they actually go do it. It's
and it is a cool feeling, you know, to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like a ego thing, but it's just like, dude, it's like that guy. I mean, he has killed one. He killed one turkey last year.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a place down around Ardmore, and but man, he's just he's hooked, dude, and he wants to come up and hunt the public ground now because it's jam up. I'm like, nah, man, you stay where you at,
It's
dog.
a different place.
No.
Well, it's I've had this conversation even just recently. It's you start getting to a point, and like I said, I'm no old seasoned veteran, but I've been doing it long enough where I know if I don't kill a bird, there'll be another opportunity.
Oh yeah.
I ran into that twice. We were talking about either early in the podcast before we started about I had an opportunity to shoot a Jake open in the morning. 5 Jakes came in. A buddy of mine never been turkey hunting before. It was his own property. He had just bought this little 5-acre tract out in West Nashville. Called birds in, came right in, shot one.
Yeah.
And then the other 4 just kind of hung around, and I just didn't shoot one. I just, I could have, and he wouldn't have minded. And I'd have no problem shooting a Jake, especially. But it was make a better story if he just killed a bird this morning.
Shoot, yeah.
And then I had a bird later on in the season. A buddy of mine had flown down. I could have farted on a call, and that bird would have come in. I know he would have because he was just hot, and there were no hens with him. But he was just, buddy was like, let's just let him go. Let's set up on him again. This hunt wouldn't, he deserves more honor than this because it was an old bird he'd been hunting. I was like, okay, fine. Yeah. And so my season ended. I didn't kill a single bird. I had 2 opportunities. I could have killed one, probably a third, honestly. But I still considered it a success because I learned a ton this season.
Yep.
I took somebody out and let them kill their first bird. He killed a bird later on in the season with a buddy of mine up in Kentucky, or a buddy of ours up in Kentucky. So he's like hooked. He texted me probably 10 times during the rest of the season. We go in the morning. Let's go.
Let's treble hook buried deep now.
He's done now.
Yeah.
And so, it's just I got to spend the very little time I had to spend out in the woods just learning about general stuff. Got to do some predator control.
Oh yeah.
So you get to the point after a while where you've been hunting, where your reasons you go shift.
Yeah.
I'm not bloodthirsty anymore. Like I love killing deer, but I've kind of when I was younger, I was just like, I'm gonna pass every young buck, and I'm gonna only shoot a 4.5-year-old. And at this point, I'm just like, it'd be great to shoot one of those deer, but why am I going? Well, I'm going to spend time in the outdoors.
Yep.
I feel closer to my creator
Yep.
when I'm out there sitting in a deer stand early in the morning, freezing my tail off.
Oh yeah.
And I want venison.
Yep.
I mean, I enjoy venison. There's better meat out there.
Oh yeah.
But I really enjoy. There's
That's what you
something
like.
different about killing your own deer. I process all my own deer, so I cut them up, grind them, bag them, everything.
Yeah.
It's just something different. Like when you bite into a roast, that you know exactly where that thing came from.
I drug this sucker out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This was all me. And my kids ask, "What are we eating now?" Well, that's deer. Did you kill it? Yeah, I killed it.
Yep.
And that's just normal for them now, And so, but passing that knowledge on to other people.
Yep.
I think, educating people about what hunting is really about and what we actually do, not what Elmer Fudd does or what they've learned off of their Facebook headlines.
Yeah.
And passing that knowledge on to those people and not being stingy with it. Because, and like I said, that goes against everything hunters believe. Like, it is not natural
Yeah.
to tell someone where your spot is. It's just not.
No.
I mean, trust me, I've done it a couple times, especially on public.
Yeah.
It's just been like, guys have messaged me on Instagram and been like, "Hey, I'm coming to Nashville for a weekend. My wife's got a work conference or something. Where should I hunt?" And I will literally be like, drop a pin and like, I know there are birds there 2 weeks ago. And it doesn't bother me in the least because I know that even though it's hard, it makes me want to cry sometimes thinking, "Guy's going to shoot that bird I saw last week. That thing had a 12.5-inch beard and had 1.25 spurs."
Yeah.
But I know that I'm doing what I can to help further the sport. That way my kids have turkeys to kill in 15 years, you know? Because if nobody's managing them and nobody's restocking them and nobody's helping the flock thrive, then my kids aren't going to get the opportunity
Yeah,
to.
we really may have a decline in numbers.
Yeah,
there.
not just a hopefully temporary one.
Yeah.
Of course, and I did say, I'll tell all my buddies now, I did my part in conservation this year. I didn't kill a single turkey.
Yeah, exactly.
There are 4 more gobblers in Tennessee than there would have been had I limited out. So y'all can thank me when you kill one next year.
Heck yeah.
I took one for the team this year.
Exactly.
See, you didn't. You're trying to kill all the population out.
Well, it's just it was wild, man.
Hey, I would have been happy limiting out. Trust me.
Yeah.
None of it was on purpose. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What's a good place for people to find you online, either social media wise or content wise, or where to get the show, where to watch the show?
Man, small town. We air on a Sportsman channel.
Okay.
It's gonna be golly, don't make me lie. It's I know our main airtime this year is sometime Sunday. I want to say maybe 8:30 or 9:30. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
The Rival, it's gonna be on the Hunt channel for sure, but it's not gonna be on the actual TV. Kind of the format we wanted to that is, whether it's small town or bone collector, everybody's like, man, I don't get that channel, and blah, wish you air. Well, okay, well, problem solved.
You have an internet connection.
So with the Rival, obviously you have internet because you can either on your phone or your computer at home. So it's going to be on the Hunt channel. It's a digital platform.
Okay.
And we're also probably going to put the episodes just on the Facebook page itself.
Awesome.
And it's just at the Rival TV, and the episodes are. They're going to vary. Some of them may be 4 minutes long. Some of them may be 12 minutes long.
You're not held to 22 and a half minutes like you are on television.
And I'm a stickler of, I forget what the attention span is now for an adult. It's just a couple seconds.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. Whenever the little bit of time I do get to get on Facebook, when I click on it and open up a video and it's 8 minutes long, I'm like, frick, man, that's a commitment.
It's also sometimes on shows, especially on network television, it feels like they're stretching.
No,
and they're packing it with interstitials and product placement, just trying to get it out to the time. And I'm like, why would you? I enjoy watching something like this show, whatever it was, is as long as the story needs.
Yes.
So if it was 30 minutes, great, it was 30 minutes. It was 2.5 minutes, it was 2.5 minutes.
And that was our goal too with that. Some hunts, the guys killed in the first afternoon. Well, it was the first deer they saw. So we're not going to stretch that out to 20 minutes because, number one, I don't want to as an editor.
We walked
that's
to
boring.
the woods.
Yeah, it was as simple as we got in the ground blind. I mean, one guy kills a deer in 7 minutes. Gets in the ground blind 12-something in the day in Kansas. Big sucker walks by and he freaking strokes it. He picks his phone up. He says, well, we've been here about 7 or 10 minutes. It was something. It's going to be super quick.
Let's sit down and film a bunch of recreates.
Yeah. And then, but yeah, man, just those two shows, we're really proud of both of them. Small Town, we won our first Golden Moose Award last year, and it was our first year. So
yeah, that's pretty good.
It was a fan favorite waterfowl, so it was voted by the people who watch it. So for some reason, I don't know why in the world they did it, but people voted for it.
Hey, that's what we were talking about before, man. Connecting with the people who actually buy the products and do the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think people have an appreciation for realistic hunts. I love watching and seeing a monster buck killed in Texas. I really enjoy it. Mm. But I also watching just some dude go find a good duck hole somewhere and say, hey, I found ducks. Let's go hunting in the morning.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's stuff like that, man. It's awesome, and it's just fun, man.
Yeah, for sure. What about on Instagram and stuff? What's your handle on Instagram?
Man, I think it's just at Jay Heathcoe. I'm not even 100% sure. That's terrible, isn't it? Man, I just...
Well, you didn't know your wife's phone number, so...
I know.
I wouldn't be too upset if you didn't know your Instagram handle.
Yeah, my Instagram is this, my Facebook is this. What's your wife's phone number?
I don't know. Can we get on my Instagram real quick and message her?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Let me ask her. But, no, I got a pretty cool little page, too. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought about it while I was sitting in traffic going to Nashville one day when I had my old job. Sitting in traffic, I was like, man, I want to start a page called Fly Down.
Okay.
And it's just straight turkey hunting content.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so before seasons, because when December rolls around, I'm yelping full time now. I mean, I never fully put the yelpers up, but December, my wife, she's like, I'm fixing to kick you out.
Cut it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
So, man, I was like, man, I want to see just some turkey hunting content, just some quick, just turkeys get their beats knocked off. And I was like, man, there's got to be some other turkey nuts. Yeah. And mainly I started it for myself because I was like, okay, if I do this, it'll give me a reason to look up turkey videos and pictures and stuff like that. So, yeah, man, we've been doing that for about a year. And
that's awesome.
And it's just straight up, just down and dirty.
All turkeys all the time.
Oh, gosh. Now, I will say I've only posted 3 times since March 15th.
Well, that happens. And we hadn't recorded a podcast since February, so as soon as turkey season rolled around, we take deer and turkey season off and just don't record, basically.
Right. Oh, I know. It's like, I feel like I should, but it's just something I play with, and it's just cool, man.
That's awesome. So is that on Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram.
And at Fly Down?
Yep.
Okay.
I had to fly down.
That's awesome. I gotta look that up.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, thanks for sitting down with me, man. I appreciate
Shoot,
it.
dude, it's been fun, man.
An hour and 22 minutes
Holy
goes by
cow.
quick. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I was wrapping up just because I figured you had somewhere you needed to be.
Man, that's crazy. Well,
Wife's gonna think you're lost now.
Well, that's what I told you. I was like, look, man. I said if we sit down and get to talking about turkeys, and this is a true story. I was up at the ATA show this year up in Indianapolis and ran into a turkey hunting buddy of mine, and we got talking about turkeys, and I was like, dude, we don't need to talk about turkeys. I said, because we would literally be here till the show closed. Yeah. We stood in the same spot for almost 4 hours, standing on this hard carpet for almost 4 hours, just talking about turkeys. Just man. Love it, man. Just I would rather turkey hunt than I had breathe air.
I'm trying to think of who we were talking about. I think it was Trace Ayala and Philippe Vanderels. We did a podcast with them, and I was talking to Trace about he didn't know, he had just gotten into turkey hunting the last couple of years and he loves it.
Yeah.
But he was like, man, something crazy about turkey hunters. And I'm like, it's something about bird hunters in general that get crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because I started thinking like, who are the craziest hardcore hunters in all of North American hunting? It's turkey hunters, waterfowlers, and upland hunters.
Yeah.
Those are like the three that just we'll spend thousands upon thousands on decoys and dogs and calls and blinds and leases. Yep. And I'm like, what is it about birds that pulls that out of people?
Me and my wife, fortunately, I married a girl, man. She loves to hunt.
That's a good call.
And she hunted before I did.
Right.
So I mean, or before we met. Oh yeah. So she's.
Well, that's both a good call and a bad call. You got to share your hunting
gosh.
time with her. See, my wife doesn't want to go, so I don't have to share with her.
Man, and it's a pressure because it's like, man, I'd like to get her a turkey because I done killed 6 and she's getting a little ticked off.
But man, if I could get 7, it'd be a good year.
Oh, I know. But and I talked to her about it. And now since we've had the kids, she doesn't, engage in conversation as much about turkeys now because we have a little boy. And so she's not. It's not that she's not as interested, but it's just
she's got her hands full.
I don't have as many people to talk to about turkeys, and I was sitting there like at dinner table, and it just like I was like, I wonder like what is it about a turkey strutting in
man
that and I don't know if it's, and that's what we were talking about. Well, that's what I was talking about to her. She was looking at me like I wish she'd shut up about a freaking turkey right now. But I'm like, I don't know if it's like the colors on his head like that just mesmer. But dude, it's
something about it, dude.
Man, it tears
well, just
me
the
up.
sound of that, like just something about one drumming.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. Well, that's the thing we had mentioned earlier is like, you can't really describe. You can do your best to describe it. People, you can watch as many videos as you want, but until you go sit under a tree and you've got one roosted 60 yards away, and he flies down and the earth feels like it's shaking when he gobbles, you cannot even imagine what that experience is like.
Well, and that's I know, like even my family and stuff. My granddad, he turkey hunted, but he had done quit by the time I started, and so my dad, he hadn't really got it. I've taken him a couple times, but it's just like turkey hunting has this stigma about that it's it's impossible, and you gotta that there's so many like quirks that you have to do to kill them, and so I think it shies away like people who hasn't turkey hunted a lot, but dude. The only way to really learn is just, and they're not. I mean, some days you can get out there and, like you say, you freaking pass gas and the sucker breaks his neck getting to you. And other days you can't hit him with a truck if you wanted to. But a
lot of those things are barriers we put in front of. You hunt and you get in your way of doing it, and you have one experience where this bird gobbled at this call. Birds only gobble at a slate. They won't gobble at a box or a mouth call, even though it has nothing to do with it. Just that day he liked a box call.
It's just the springtime experience, man. Of getting out there and kind of watching the world. Wake up from a winter and you obviously got your birds, you got your owls, you got crows, everything, man. It's just everything about turkey hunting, and that's what if you ain't ever turkey hunted, and you want to, man, just like I said, there's plenty of public ground around. Yeah, you just got to be careful. You're fine on it. Just be careful, but
just go.
Just go out there, man, and I remember the first I remember the first turkey I ever heard gobble, and I remember the first elk I ever heard bugle, and I freaking about boo-hooed on both of them. And it's just, man, you just got to get out there, man. And like you said, man, even if you don't kill one, it's just the fact of just being out there and it's just
that's what I tell
it's
people.
hard to describe, man. It really is.
Go get a box call and get a shotgun. Buy the cheap box call at Walmart and get a shotgun with some turkey loads in it, and get you some Army surplus. You don't need. just some basic. You don't need all the stuff. All the stuff helps, and it's great to have.
Sure.
But I used to tote around, like when I first started, I still used the same box call I used when I was 14 and started turkey hunting.
Yep.
And I've gone through several vests just because I've ripped them.
Yeah.
But I got to the point where I carried like 4 slates and 5 mouth calls and 2 boxes and 6 decoys and a thermocell and bug spray and 6 bottles of, and I just like
turkey vest weighs 60 pounds.
It did. And then now I just realized I never used it.
Yeah.
I carry a slate and a box and then a crow call and an owl call.
Yep.
And that's it. And then a couple of inflatable decoys. And a bottle of water. And I'm just like, I've got this vest that's got all these pockets that has all this room. But I'm just like,
got nothing.
I never use any of this stuff. And it's because turkey hunting can be that simple. Like, we overcomplicate it.
Oh, yeah,
and,
sure.
A lot of call makers and decoy makers and that kind of thing. Not all of them, but some of them overcomplicate it for financial reasons. Make it. You got to have this decoy. You got to have this call if you want to kill a turkey.
Got to catch
it's
the
not
hunter,
the truth.
No.
My grandfather could kill them wearing jeans and yelping with his mouth. It just, if you know what you're doing and you get in the right areas and at the right time,
got to put yourself in a position to kill a turkey.
Yeah, and you can't hunt sitting on the couch. That's for sure.
No, it's not nearly as much fun.
That's true.
Might be less ticks.
Unless you got one in a blind. Now, if I could get a couch and a blind with some electricity, I'm not above that.
Shoot you, get you direct TV.
That'd be awesome.
Shoot you.
All
That's
right.
awesome, man.
Well, thanks for coming again. I really appreciate it.
No, man, it was fun. Always good talking to good folks and talking turkey.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, guys. We'll talk to y'all later.